This is our new intro. I don't hate it.
I was just gonna. Hello, listeners and viewers, and welcome to a special series of Wine Talks for December. In this episode, we'll be discussing feminism. My name is Jenilyn, and I am drinking cocoa tea.
I am Shirley, and I'm drinking Pinot Grigio from San Nicola.
My name is Tia, and I am drinking water.
I'm Miska, and I'm drinking sparkling hard seltzer, Meyer lemon flavor.
Still sounds delicious. I'm Trace, and I'm drinking a mixture of orange juice and also some Pinot Grigio by Frontera. They're not mixed together. It's just, sickness.
Switch.
Got it. Like a chaser. Okay, cool. Quick disclaimer. If you happen to be listening to us on your way to work, or you're at work, or maybe you're sick, don't pour yourself a glass of wine. But if you're not driving home and you're sitting comfy somewhere, go ahead and pause while you pour yourself your favorite glass. Or if you don't drink, pour a beverage of your choice, maybe water or tea. And just to always remember to drink responsibly. So relax and join us for wine. Now let's get to sipping. So today's episode, we are going to talk about feminism. And I looked up in the dictionary, and feminism is defined as the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes and an organized activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. So to start off our conversation, we're going to talk about why it is taboo to be a feminist.
So, I guess this was a topic that was interesting to me because I was watching an IG live, and there was this woman putting together a bookcase. Why it was for her IG live, I don't know. Whatever. But someone commented like, who needs a man when insert person's name is here, the person being a female. And she's like, oh, I guess, but I'm not a feminist. So in like any way at all. And I was like, what's wrong with what? I don't like, why are you so upset about someone like giving you props for putting together a bookcase? Like, it just seemed like such an extreme reaction to a seemingly benign comment and like a props to you. But I know that like being a feminist is something that's actually pretty taboo for men and women. But I don't understand why. I get it logically. Not even logically. Theoretically, I get it, but logically, I don't. So that's why I wanted to open it up for discussion with you ladies.
Why theoretically? What does that mean?
So I can understand when people make their arguments for not being a feminist. Like, I understand the words that are coming out of their mouths. That doesn't mean that I like take them on into my life and I believe them, which is usually I guess her reasoning behind it was, again, I don't know her life circumstance. I don't know if she's married, single, whatever. I don't know if she typically depends or relies on men, whatever. But for me, the common argument that I hear is that it's nice to have the traditional role of being a woman in a heterosexual relationship, and it's nice to rely on a man to do things. Like, that's the common argument I personally hear. And so I get it. Like, I agree. It's nice to have, for me, my answer is, yeah, I agree. It's nice to have some help. I don't necessarily need it from a man. But I'm not necessarily going to say no to a man that's helping me. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, that's the common argument that I hear specifically against or for why someone's not a feminist. So logically I get it, or theoretically I get it, but for me it's not, I guess, my logical reasoning. So yeah.
I understand that.
like sometimes people, it could be ignorance, like genuine, like ignorance, like not knowing.
Right, not knowing, yeah.
I also feel like some people just are very pressed to not understand, if that makes sense, because the point of feminism is that women are just looking for, social, political, economical, whatever, equality to men. This has nothing to do with a man helping you put together a bookshelf. It has nothing to do with like chivalry. It has nothing to do with these things. And I feel like often we'll see men say, well, you want to be a feminist so bad, so open your own damn door, or some bullshit like that. And I feel like sometimes women subscribe to that as well, in an effort to be seen as docile or desirable to men. So they'll kind of deny the word or the ideology of being a feminist in order to be seen as more desirable to women. On Twitter, that they call that pick me's, like pick me. I'm a woman. I'm, submissive, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like these are some of the things that happen that make people want to separate or distance themselves from identifying in that way.
So there's this book called Bad Feminism by Roxane Gay. Has anyone ever read it yet? It's really,
I've heard of it.
yeah,
Heard of it.
it's a good book. So in that book, she describes feminism. There's a lot of things that I agree with her and a lot that I disagree with her, and that's why I enjoyed the read. But I think people are distancing themselves from feminism because they look to categorize themselves. Like, a lot of people see feminism as a person who's like really strong and independent, who doesn't shave their legs. They're like big hippies, they do whatever they want to do. And if you're not that person, then you're not a feminism. But then there's like other like subgroups of what a feminism is. And then if we don't fit a certain category, then you're not like the feminist that the like society sees you to be. So I think that's why a lot of people say that they're not a feminist, because they don't fit a certain like stereotype that what people usually see a feminist looks like or is. So
And to be clear, when we're saying feminism, we're talking about just like women fighting and having the same rights as men in terms of like equal pay, being able to work, benefits, stuff like that.
Right.
Women and men fighting for that, yes.
And I think that's
equality.
Right. That's one part of feminism, I think.
Okay.
Right. And like a lot of people like see that as being a part of feminism, but then there's like another aspect of saying like, oh, well, I don't need to wear dresses because that defines me as, as a woman. I can wear pants all the time kind of situation. Like how you dress too plays into the part of you being a feminist or not.
Okay.
And I feel like that's kind of also the point as well, as far as like, yes, economical rights, political rights, equality and things, but also having the right to live your life the way that you want to and still respected in that capacity. So I want to get married and have children. I am also still a feminist. And so I'm not saying that I don't need a man or a partner, whoever I end up with. I'm just saying that I also am a woman and I feel like I should have equal access to the things that men have access to. So I feel like it's part of the identity, or the idea of it is I'm just trying to get my shit the way men are getting their shit, and it doesn't have anything to do with the type of lifestyle that I choose to have.
Exactly.
Right. For that stereotype, I feel like people a lot of times think that it's women trying to be men. And it's not that at all. Like, I don't want to pee standing up. I don't
want any of that.
I don't want to.
I mean, I can, but
necessarily be. Yeah,
true.
A lot of women know the squat, which is essentially standing, but we're working more muscles than men when they're peeing. Anyways, I don't want to necessarily go in and not have any emotions or not take the time to get to know people, which is typically like a feminine behavior. I don't want to go in and like be aggressive and shut off and all that stuff, which is typically male behavior, or like stereotypically male behavior. I just want to go into something and not feel like I have to change who I am as a woman and still be treated equally. And I don't feel like that's a lot to ask.
It's not.
Or excuse
I
my
think that's
existence,
fair.
or fight for my voice to be heard, or
Right.
yeah.
And I think too, the word feminism is always, it's kind of associated with like, it's very strong and assertive. And if you're a feminist, it sounds like that, oh, this person or this woman is very sensitive. You have to tiptoe around what she is saying because she's feminist. So it's always seemed to me that it has like a negative connotation when you say you're a feminist instead of it being like strong and positive as well.
Yeah.
So feel that like, yes, sometimes there's that feeling of wanting to tiptoe around people, but I feel like there's, for some people, now someone to hold them accountable for the bullshit. And they don't like that. So that's why it has a negative connotation, is because, okay, you know, I'm a feminist, which means you can't be saying bullshit about women or phobic statements or any of these other things, because I'm gonna be like, that's fucked up. And now you're mad that you have to, like, be decent.
Right.
Right. I was going to say that, like, I can, as much as it's bullshit, I can wrap my mind around men being so against feminism. What boggles my mind is women being so against feminism, because I'm talking about you too. Like, I'm talking about you have the right to live your life any way you want to, like, and not have to. It's not even about being docile. It's being without all the extra hurdles that men don't have to go through. So I can never understand fully women that are against feminism.
I could see women that are very religious and that whatever their religious teachings have told them, if it's been through the lens that women should follow the man, and
right.
the man is the head of the family, and woman should, you know, respect the man and all this stuff. I could see how they could subscribe to something that is not necessarily feminism.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I go along with, like, I necessarily
absolutely.
it, but I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
I know for like, at least Baptist Christians, there's like a whole little like chart on Facebook. About
that place where you don't really mind your business. What is that tagline? Teresa's tagline.
Minding my own like I never do.
So like there's this umbrella or charts of like, there's God, and then there's the husband or the man who's like a protector and a provider, and then there's like the woman, and then there's the children, because the woman cares for the children and the household and does all these things. And those are from like the posts that I'm seeing are from women. Like, I thought it maybe it was an educational thing, but I'm like, no, I'm agreeing with Tia. Like, it's probably a religious thing, too, for them going back into their religion and becoming more involved in their faith and seeing that viewpoint from a religious standpoint. Like, I get their desire to want to continue to uphold those traditions.
Yeah. I guess for me, I don't hear. Right. I guess for me, I rarely hear that argument in like conversations, not on a daily basis, thank goodness. But I rarely hear that argument. So, but I'm glad you reminded me of that, because that, again, as you both said, I don't agree with it, but I get it.
I feel like you have to agree agree with it because these things do not go together. Or they're not, that's not what I meant. They're not mutually exclusive. You can have your husband as the head of the household and be a feminist. We're not talking about the same thing, but people hear that word and they assume that the woman's trying to be this way or that way, which she may or may not be. You can be all those things, God first, then husband, then children, worship God, like do all these things and also want to get paid what you deserve.
Right.
Or don't want violence perpetrated against you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's frustrating because like people refuse to read or listen to what actually is being said.
Right. Which goes back to your ignorant statement of how people just either they are ignorant because they don't want to know or they just don't care to.
Or don't have the exposure.
Or they don't want to change either. That's another
Mm-hmm.
situation as well. I mean, it's been like all throughout history that, you know, a man is all powerful and we should be following him. So, I mean, it's good that women are rising up. It seems like it's happening a lot now, but it's going to take a lot more for like the rest of the world to like catch up.
If that's something that they want to do.
Right. That too.
Right.
I hate to say that, but I mean, I see the need for it. Like, I don't think that it's okay that, you know, women are being sex trafficked or, you know, men forcing themselves upon them, having their clitoris cut off because of whatever, like, that shouldn't happen. But I think we also have to be careful about our idea of feminism and how we apply that to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. So do we all like, that's because since we're talking about the topic, will we all agree or say that we're feminists in some respect or in some right?
Yeah.
I think so. I always draw like a line. Like I totally think that women should be treated equally. We should get equal pay. We shouldn't be, you know, subjected to sexual assault. But I also like to have my door open for me once in a while. I also like to, you know, get pampered, you know, because I like that kind of stuff. So you, again, like what we had said before, is that you can have both worlds. It's just that you just want equal rights for women. It's kind of like the baseline of what I think feminism is.
Right. I think the point that you're making, Jenilyn, and was part of what Miska was saying, is that being feminist, or if I'm understanding what you're saying, is more of a political thing, and we're talking about rights and access to things, and that doesn't take away from your personal preferences in your private life. Do you know what I mean? Like your personal relationships one-on-one. We're talking about the systemic changes that can happen and can arise from a feminist movement.
Or just to be, you know, treated with respect. Like that's kind of another situation. Like that's all we really want too, is don't treat us like we're second-class citizens. We should be on the same level as how men get treated as well.
What about, I guess, for our own experiences in terms of being like a Filipino feminist or an African American feminist or Black feminist? Like, how does that, like, do you find any difficulties with like you being a feminist as well as like your racial/ethnic group?
I wish we had a white woman on here so that it could be a global thing, but not that I don't love you ladies, but I'm saying that would help to balance.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that lack of that kind of brings about the discussion of like white feminists in comparison to kind of the rest of us, and how what we are looking for is oftentimes different. If we think of before or around the civil rights movement, when feminism was becoming a thing and we're fighting for, you know, voting voting rights or not want to shave your armpits or like all these things, or even this kind of desire to want to work and be a part of the workforce where that is not really experience that Black people's ancestors had. We always been working. That was never a thing for us to be fighting to go to work. We were always in the workforce with the men as Black women doing all these things. And so I feel like the struggles between us is very different. And often we see articles or instances of white women who are feminists kind of, I can't remember, there's a picture I saw somewhere of a white girl with her hand over a Black girl's mouth, and it was titled white feminism or something like that, just because our struggles are different and we're looking at different things. Yes, you want this, but we're also being trafficked. We're also going through police brutality. We also make less money than white women. So all these other things, and a lot of the times when we try to make some type of connection between minority women, Black women, with the white feminists, they don't want to hear what we got to say because this is outside of kind of their frame of reference oftentimes. And so then that's why Alice Walker had to develop womanism, trying to kind of make up or to like vouch for or make the connection that acknowledges that intersectionality of being a Black person and a woman, particularly here in America. So, yeah.
Well said.
To back up with my yes, I can go ahead and a little expand on that. Thought that was sufficient, but I guess I'll continue. So being Filipino in feminism is pretty obscure, I want to say. So as far as like growing up, my mom's always like wanted to make sure that I have the same opportunities as, you know, the boys do. Like, she wanted to make sure that I was getting good grades, and if I didn't come home with a good grade and I get like an A-, like, oh, why didn't you get an A+? I saw so-and-so got an A+ kind of situation. She's always wanted me to excel as far as that goes. But then in the Filipino culture, it's kind of seen that the women kind of are pretty docile. Like, they don't drink a lot, they don't go out a lot, and like that's kind of what the men do. Like, that's accepted of them, but we don't. So when I came around, I started going out a lot and drinking a lot. My mom would always say, "You're acting like a boy. You're like the son that we never had," kind of situation, and I was fine with that. But that's something that in the Filipino culture, they're high on education, but as far as like women being like outgoing or, you know, aggressive, whatever, it's kind of looked down upon. But like in the Philippines, women are also like are less than second-class citizens, where they're just being shipped in as like mail order brides, you know, over to the US as well. So it's all over the place over there.
A lot of the things that you talked about, Jen, it's so weird. Are you first generation? Jen?
Sorry, first generation is when
American born?
Yeah, American born, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obviously not Filipino, in case you didn't know. But like growing up, I was not appreciated by my uncles because I was, I guess, very young, a feminist, I guess. I don't know. But like in the Caribbean cultures, I'll say in general the Caribbean cultures, but also in the Haitian culture, it's very similar, where the woman is docile and subservient to the husband. But also it's very rare in Haitian families for there to be a single mom that's raising children or raising a child. So my mom was definitely outcast in some circles. But growing up with a woman in the household, I looked up to my mom, obviously. So like things that needed to get done, she did it. And so I learned to do things. So very early on, I would like look at my uncles and be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not getting up to get you a plate of food. I'm eating. Like, no, that's not happening. But like, that was expected of me, being the young, at the time, oldest cousin, I would say. So I was very quickly cast aside as like that silly or different niece in the family, in different cultures, and it was, or different settings, and it was a very weird experience. But that goes across several things, being first generation, an island country that's very traditional, and single parent household. Like, it's very weird. Yeah.
I guess I could answer my own question, because I was like thinking, so my family is traditionally grew up in the South. What the hell? My mom was like a rebel, because she didn't, she grew up like partially in the South, and then like my uncle raised her for part of her life. So she got experience, because he was in the Air Force, with like different cultures and stuff. But anyways, to make a long story short, she was, I guess, my first feminist icon. So like my dad was my stepdad was very traditional in that like he worked, and like he would just like give her his check and like pay for everything. And at one point he told her like she didn't have to work, but like she still had a job even though she didn't have to, because he made enough to be able, like, I guess, to take care of us, but she still like worked and did stuff. But at the same time, she also like tended to us, and well, we cleaned once we got old enough, but like she would also like clean the house and like make sure he had a meal when he came home. But at the same time, like she still worked and did her thing. So like I'm noticing now, even in my own life, like well, Quentin, first of all, he'll never tell me I ain't gotta work, wasting my degree. But he'll never say that. But like I still do some of like the same traditional things that my mom did. Like even though I work, like I still come home and cook and make sure he has a meal. And cleaning, we kind of split on that. Okay, he cleans more than I do, but whatever. It's because he's in the house more. But stuff like that. So like I'm noticing that like that generation, you know, like because she's not as traditional Southern, like where she, you know, take care of her man kind of thing. She still did, but like I don't know, it was weird. It's like she did both, where she still had her own, which is kind of where I am, like where I just do both, and it's not like an issue. So yeah.
It's really interesting how everybody comes from different backgrounds and got to where they were, like they had some type of role model or not. But I don't know why I was saying that.
I think it is.
Well,
cool
and I
too.
think,
I was saying I think it's cool too.
Yeah. And I think for me, what I pull out of like our three different stories, at least in my thinking, tell me if you guys think differently, if you ladies think differently, but like for me, having that background and that upbringing is what I think is why it's logical for me to say, well, of course I should have the same rights as men. Of course I should have equal pay as men. Do you know what I mean? That all of that is what created the feminism in me, where it does go to more of the outside of the household thinking. Like, I'm doing all these things and I rock it. Like, why shouldn't I get paid just as much as this person who's doing the same job? You know, like it's became ingrained in me based off of my upbringing, and family beliefs, rejecting them or accepting them.
Right. Yeah. Same.
About feminism, explain, like, understanding that it's not just about like not shaving armpits and being like on the extreme level of what people think feminism is, and then just how like even as women of different ethnicities, that we should, that white women should take us into account too and make us part of the movement.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's not about attacking men. It's not about putting down men at all. That's not what it's about. We just want to be
men
as equal. We're not trying to put men down.
And women should also support other women as well.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Wine. You can find our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and that's it. So please rate, review, and subscribe. We appreciate any feedback, and also you can follow us on all social media platforms at Wine Podcast with an S. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.